Hello there, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth. As always, with some ideas for what to pay attention to when you are really in the habit, in the new phase of growing and scaling your business. So, I mentioned the word habit already, and that's kind of what we want to focus on today because what I've been finding is what is keeping most of our clients in a place where they can't really grow and where they keep getting stuck at a certain level, no matter how good their product is, no matter how much effort they're putting into, is developing consistent habits. So consistency is one of those things where, some of us we get really inspired when we have a new idea and it's that shiny new object that we're super excited about. So we like come in with this boom of energy and excitement and just creativity, all that good stuff. And as we're starting to work it, then challenges come up and unforeseen circumstances and all that stuff, and that's slowly wearing away at that energy, at that excitement, at that energy boost. And then slowly things kind of start grinding to a halt. And then before we even get to a place where we could possibly be successful, we kind of stop our efforts. So one one new habit that's very, very important to develop is to be in consistent action. So think about it like this. It's like you can't go to the gym and go one or two times and then suddenly decide that that was too much work and you don't want to do it anymore. So that's a problem. So what the thing that would help is if you went and you had thanks, Pearl. If you had your habit to go consistently and do a little bit of work every day, but do it every single day and don't stop. So that's a really big one in terms of your work. When you're looking at new strategies, you want to look at how do I chunk out these strategies in a way where I can take consistent action every single day. And it might just be, the thing is when we get really excited, we want to get something done, it's really easy for us to just kind of get heroic about it and want to take something on that is way more than we can actually do consistently. You might be able to do it, 1 or 2 days, or maybe even a week, but then energy and excitement falters and then you stop that habit. And before it goes anywhere, you're done. So the really important part is to do things when you develop your strategy, to do it in a way where you can actually do it. It's doable on a consistent basis. So you have to look at, if any of you ever read the book Atomic Habits, it's the same principle where when you do small things every single day consistently, that leads to big lasting results. So it's the same thing with your business. So you have to divide those strategies up in a way where you set yourself up to win and you're doing small things every single day that lead to great outcomes. So what I want to encourage you, especially as we're going into this like year end, beginning of new year phase where right now it's your most important focus to set yourself up for a very, very successful 2023. That means developing strategy, that means planning, that means looking at, what could be those consistent small actions that we take all through the year that will lead to great results. So one place where I really want to encourage you to look is, where have been some things that you have actually quiet quit on, where you have given up before they were even set up to make a big difference. Maybe you started a new marketing campaign. Maybe you hired some people that didn't work out right away, or they seemed to not work out and you didn't know why. Maybe you started with some new partners or you developed a new product, but all of it didn't go as quickly as you'd hoped for, so you kind of quiet quit on it. So you have to ask yourself, which of these things are actually quite viable, and how did I not give them the chance that they really needed to take off? So I want you to ask yourself some really important questions so that you set yourself up right for 2023. Starting with the most important question, you know, what is really working right now? So when you do a little retrospective and you look at 2022, I want you to look at all the campaigns, all the strategies, all things that you started, or maybe you didn't start them, but all things that you were taking action on, and they actually made a difference. You saw improvement, you saw momentum happening, you saw some traction. What were those? And then how many of those did you kind of quite quit on? How many of those did you not really give the chance because either some challenges came up or you ran out of energy, budget, creativity, whatever it was? Look for those and really look for those where you saw, a pretty good amount of momentum happening right now. So those are your strengths and those are your biggest opportunity for 2023 because they've been recently tested. So, even in this changing market, these strategies have a good chance to win. So get really clear on what's working, what are my strengths. And then think about the next question would be, what are my biggest opportunities for growth right now before the end of 2022? And then, of course, really going into 2023. So those might be some shiny new objects. Those might be some things you've been playing with, and there's some really good opportunity right there. Now is the time to get very strategic about them, because if you don't develop a plan and a strategy around them, then chances are you'll peter out somewhere and it just kind of won't really go to a place where you can develop these things to their fullest potential. So look at what are my biggest opportunities for 2023 and even for the end of 2022. So you set yourself up right for 2023, and how will I have the right strategy around these, and what consistent actions will I take so that I can take these things to their fullest potential? So whatever these strategies are. And then, of course, another thing to really get clear on is when you give yourself that time to do the retrospective for 2022, what have been my most fatal flaws? And that's the time to go a little bit introspective and really think about, where have I been cutting myself short? Where have I not had the right people on the team? Where have I not hired up? Where have I not given it enough budget, time, energy? Is there some talent that I'm missing? Really go through what are those things that are getting in my way over and over. It's kind of like your crux. I like to call it the fatal flaw. And look, I mean, in general, when you look at how do you improve your business, how do you improve your actions, how do you improve your results, we don't really tend to focus on weaknesses, because weaknesses, to turn them into strengths, that takes way too many resources, time, energy, money, especially energy. So that's not usually what we're looking at. But they're those few, the fatal flaws, which are things that come up over and over, and they get over and over into your way of exponential growth. If that's what you're looking for, you have to identify those fatal flaws, and then come up with a strategy of consistent action so that you can get rid of those. So it's a really important question to ask. So when you're looking at this last year, just identify what were those things that keep getting in my way of really taking that leap for your exponential growth. And then here's some really important questions to ask. And those are a little more, mindset-y, but you have to ask yourself, what do you believe is in your way? So there's kind of like what's actually in your way. And then there's the what do you believe is in your way. And you have to really kind of go through your belief sets there and identify the ones that keep getting you stuck. So there's the actual worldly things that you know keep getting in your way, whatever they are. And then there's you and your belief systems that are stopping you short from putting in the extra effort, creativity, innovation, budget, whatever it is, because you are afraid, because maybe it hasn't worked in the past, or you have some fears around what's possible, or you have some upper limit beliefs coming up, but you want to know what that is, because that's one of the most important places to really put some work in this year so that you can make that leap. So, and I love the Byron Katie question in that. And that's a super simple question when you're thinking about, what comes up when you think about what you believe is in your way, ask, is this really true? And it's such a simple pattern interrupt and shortcut, but that's the question that's most important to ask, because now you can identify, hey, what are actually the things that I can control? And those are the kind of worldly things, the actual external circumstances. And where is my belief set getting in my way? My, story that I'm telling myself for why I can or cannot do something. So identify what those are. And then ask that question, is it really true? Because if it is, then you can come up with that strategy of consistent action to actually start solving that. So pretty simple. Once you know what is getting in your way, then you chunk that down and you go, all right, what are my first 1, 2, 3 steps that I can take that will get me to a place where I can solve this? Now you're actually doing something about it. Now you're in action about it. Now you feel some energy, you're putting some energy to it, and this is actually going to get you some results. But if it's just that you keep kind of being mired in the muck about why something can't work, you might have those heroic bursts of energy and those heroic moments where you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to take this on, I'm going to eradicate this. But that's usually where your habit will not be strong enough and you will stop any meaningful action before it can even come into fruition. So ask yourself, is this like what's getting in my way? What's my belief that that's getting in the way? And is this really true? And then the really important part is you have to ask yourself, what's my new belief? What's the next thing? What's the, what do I have to develop so that I can actually change this? So it's kind of like, first you have to rip out the weeds and then plant the flowers. So that new belief is, what's my resourceful belief set? What's my resourceful action? What's my resourceful behavior that I need to bring to the table so I can solve these challenges? So those are the questions to ask to kind of get to the right place. Because one thing to develop a habit of consistent, committed action that we've really noticed is what happens when you're confused, when you're stuck in a mindset that's not resourceful. It turns very quickly into complacency. And complacency is that very low energy level where you just can't get yourself into action. Whether it's your belief system, whether you're blaming external circumstances, whether they're actual circumstances, but you have stopped putting any energy to it. So it just kind of keeps going on and it slowly sucks more and more and more of your energy. Especially, with the economic circumstances, you could very easily listen to all the stories, whether they're true or not, that, this next year is going to be full of challenges and terrible, and everything is going to go down and there's no way you're going to be successful. There might be a setup out there that would prove that this could be true. However, as we all know, in any economic circumstance, COVID, recession, whatever it is, the committed, the resourceful people, they'll figure it out. They're so committed to their dream that they're figuring out how to turn it around and how to make it work for themselves. I mean, when you think about that, in the last few years, there are a lot of people who made a ton of money, who were extremely successful, and then there are those that were not. So I'm not saying there's no circumstances that are difficult to deal with, but when you're truly committed, you deal with it. You develop consistent, committed action so you can keep moving through the challenges and still get to your dream. So it's really important to develop the clarity that you need, that comes out of commitment, that gets you the outcome that you want. So first comes the commitment. I'm committed to this dream. I will do whatever it takes. I'm going to take clear, consistent, committed action, and I'm still going to get to my outcome no matter what is happening. And when you put that much commitment on the table, you will have results. So a lot of times, confusion is a very easy excuse, because it's easy to say, I'm confused, I'm just going to sit here in inaction. But when you have clarity, that means you have gotten rid of the confusion, and that means you can be fully committed. So now we solved the confusion, we got the clarity. Clarity comes from commitment, because we're absolutely committed to solve these challenges, and now we're taking clear, consistent action. And when you have clarity and then you put some courage on the table and the commitment to carry it out, then you are in a place where nothing can stop you, whether it's pandemics or markets or recessions or whatever it is. You're clear, you're consistent, you're committed, you're doing it. So you have to ask yourself, what's the real reason that you're stuck right now? Go through those questions that I told you, that we talked about in the beginning, and really figure out, where am I being complacent right now? Where have I already given up? Although I haven't even given it my full attention, my full energy, my full commitment. So when you think about, getting committed, if you could lead without limitations this year, what would your 2023 look like? What would your vision say? How much bigger, how much more inspired, how much more inspiring would it be, so you could get the right people on the bus with you, who are consistent, committed, excited, inspired, on the same page with you, who drive your results for you so that you can make that leap, that exponential growth. So what would that look like if you expanded your vision like that, and then you took that consistent, committed, clear action to get to the next level results? Your 2023 would just blow you out of the water. So get clear right now. Figure out your limiters and ask yourself how committed you are to solving this, right? So first you have to know, what do I believe is limiting me? And then ask that deep question, how committed am I to solving it? Because if you're not committed, it's not going to happen. And then once you know that, the really easy part comes. Now you have to figure out your first clear, consistent, committed action steps. So when you know what's limiting you, when you know that you're committed, what are my 1, 2, 3 first action steps that will start moving me to my outcome? Because once you catch that momentum, everything else is easy. It's the hardest part is to course correct while you are still not in action, because it's kind of like, a parked car. If you're parked on the side of the road and you try to turn the steering wheel, that's a whole lot harder than if you kind of start moving along, because then you can start course correcting very easily. So don't get stuck in, for a lot of our clients, it's getting stuck in perfection. It's getting stuck in belief systems. It's getting stuck in not being consistent, in not bringing the courage to the table. But when you go through all these questions that we were talking about today, you ask yourself these questions and you come up with first action steps to get beyond that, I know your 2023 is going to be in a much, much better place. So I hope this helps. Have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you next time.